Hello everybody, half of the grand final jigsaw puzzle is now in place. The Melbourne Storm are through to their 11th grand final in 20 years. 11th grand final in 20 years. While that makes some fans just bitter and twisted, you can't but help but sit back and admire what they have done over that period. My name's Tony Squires with Wade Graham, Nathan Hindmarsh and Brent Reid. They did it by the win, 22 points to 14 over the Sharkies. Wade Graham, we're going to dig deep, obviously, into that. First of all, just you were there, the vibe of the city and that game.
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on in Melbourne. Obviously, the AFL Grand Final today, public holiday down there yesterday. So it's always a great time of year down there. But there was excitement for the prelim. I think it was everyone went into that game knowing it was an open game, knowing it probably could have went either way, depending on which team, were the better team on the night. And last night, Melbourne were that team. And again, it's incredible that record that you said Craig Bellamy has built down there. Every team, every club, every year, every group of players, they have a different journey, a different story, and different ways to get there. So for him, year after year, to keep, giving opportunities to his team and them going out there and taking it, it's incredible what he's built at that club.
Yeah. Outstanding what he's done down there. And look, does it really surprise us that he's in another one, to be honest with you? No, I think a lot of us at the start of the season would have been tipping that Melbourne would have been thereabouts. Sharkies, I thought they were gallant last night. They defended their backsides off. They defended really well, but just missed that one little piece of the puzzle, which would have got them over the line. But I thought first half was a great spectacle. I thought it kind of died off at the back end for me. Like the Storm kind of knew they had. And they knew what they had needed to do to win the game. I think the Storm in the second half.
They went into gritty mode, didn't they?
They did, didn't they? The long passes stopped. They just started doing one off the ruck sort of stuff. So a good win by Melbourne down there, a tough win by Melbourne down there, but a well-deserved another grand final appearance for them.
Yeah, I think their big guns stepped up. I thought Cameron Munster had the best game I've seen him play in a while. Jerome, obviously with that broken arm, was unbelievable. I thought Paps had the best game I've seen him have in a while, and Harry's just Harry, right? So I think, that this time of year, this close to a grand final, you need your big players aiming up. And I thought Melbourne's stars were better than Cronulla's guns.
Yeah, even the Stefano.
Mate, he has been so good since Origin.
I thought he was outstanding.
So
and I was first to jump on the does he deserve to be an Origin campaign sort of thing, because he had a really bad Origin, I'd say, series. Coming in there, and I think his third game was woeful. He comes out against Parramatta. And I think that was his turning point when Melbourne played Parramatta, and he made a run. And he bumped off about 6 or 7 blokes. And in that set, I think Melbourne went and scored anyway. Ever since he made that run, I think he went, you know what? If I run like this and bump, that makes a difference to my game. And all of a sudden, he's just come out of his shell and he's been one of the best front rowers going around at the moment. And his start to that game was outstanding.
Well, the scary thing for everyone else is this has only been his first year with Craig Bellamy. So it would have taken him a little bit of time to settle into that club, obviously adjust to a different system. But his development from where he started at Melbourne to where he is right now,
and again,
it's only going up.
Yeah, and I was one of the first when he wanted to get out of the Tigers, and I'm going, mate, come on, just tough it out. Yeah, you've had some lean years. What, you want to go to Melbourne to win a premiership? Please, come on, just tough it out.
So you're saying you've got nothing right so far?
I have got absolutely nothing right. So if we tip anyone today, listeners, do not take my advice. But I thought he's been the last month of footy for Stefano's been outstanding, and he started the game really he got Melbourne on to that front foot early.
Just talking about Craig Bellamy and that remarkable record, as I said, 11 grand finals for Melbourne in 20 years. It might be 23 years for him as a coach. It's just extraordinary. And as you mentioned, Wado, the different stories for each of those teams going through the grand final. And it doesn't get easier as it happens consecutively. Just have a listen to what Craig Bellamy had to say about the difficulty of reaching the big one.
Craig, from a coaching perspective, you talk about grand finals and they all represent and mean something a little bit different each time you get there. This time around, is it more of the making amends, or is it from last year, or is it the taking that extra step and that unfinished business mentality?
Oh, no, I don't think it's making amends at all. We ran into a really good side last year in the grand final in Penrith, and they know how to win grand finals as we see the last 4 years. And I find it amazing that people say, oh, you get to the grand final, but you failed the year. Like, please. At the end of the day, it's hard to get into a grand final, and it's extra hard to win one. And so, like I say, we found a way today to get into the grand final, and hopefully, we can find a way to finish it off next week. But at the end of the day, there's going to be two teams there, and they're going to be two good teams, and like I say, see what happens. But like I say, this thing about you've had a failed season to get beaten in the grand final, that's a load of crap.
There's a man who gets in a grand final every
it's easy for him to say. I honestly think that if you don't win the grand final, it is a failed year, and that's how I see it as a player. Yeah, because that's the ultimate goal is to win the grand final. So if you haven't done that, for me, that's a failed year.
So your entire career.
Yes, Tony. My entire career. Thank you.
You had to go there, didn't you?
I didn't, but you went
But
there.
I don't mind it. Whether or not it is. If you don't win the grand final, you have failed that year. You failed your supporters. You failed your club. And because that's what we all want.
But that's not true. That's not true. You haven't failed your support. I'm a supporter. You're a player. I'm a supporter. If my team gets me into a grand final, if I have the joy of watching them all year and performing and competing, then it's not.
West Tigers fans just want to make the final.
But the mentality,
they'd be happy with that.
But the mentality of a player is if you have not won the grand final, it's a failed year.
Yeah.
And coming second, third, fourth, fifth. If you might as well come last. Well, let's not say last because no one likes coming last.
No,
you might as well come second last than come second. Like honestly, like that is because it is an unfulfilled season. All that hard work, all the sacrifice, all the blood, sweat, and tears. We can keep going on. If you don't win the big one, it's a failed year.
It's the Ricky Bobby mentality.
It is. If you're not first, you're last. Yeah, exactly, right. And Wado, you've got to agree with that.
Oh, to a point. I think the thing that stood out for me with what Craig said when he asked about this playing group, is it redemption?
Yep.
Or a shot at redemption? I don't think there is ever a shot at redemption if you lose a grand final. That's an opportunity that you missed and it's gone. But what it offers is another opportunity and another chance for this group to go on and, as Hindy said, do the ultimate, win the premiership. And I don't think you ever redeem one that you lose because you can never get that back. But speaking to some of the players after the game last night, Will Warbrick comes to mind. He was quite emotional. He's obviously had a tough year with injury. He's missed quite a lot of football. He's made an immediate impact in that team in the latter stages of the year when he came back. And, him having another opportunity, advancing to another grand final, he was almost in tears after that game. It was great to hear from him. And, Melbourne, that would have the memory of last year, a lot of those players, and that burning motivation, but that doesn't guarantee you anything. You need to still go out there and try and get the job done in this new year and lift that trophy out. That's what they're chasing.
I reckon the greatest example of that's tomorrow's game because we've all dressed it up as Brisbane's chance for redemption after what happened 2 years ago against Penrith in the grand final, but they can never get that back. That last 20 minutes, Nathan stole that grand final from them. Doesn't matter what happens tomorrow. It won't make up for what happened 2 years ago because they haven't got the ring that they should have had 2 years ago when they owned that game.
Honestly, that would be the worst way ever to lose a grand final. The worst way ever. To have it in the bag and to let it slip, let it go, that is, I'd be ill. I'd still be sick. I'd be crook. They had it done. They had it done and dusted.
I remember that game. I was in Canada, and I didn't actually watch the game, but I woke up in the morning and I checked the score. And I said, "Okay, Penrith won. I'll have a look at the highlights." And then I remember watching the highlights, and I was like, "What has happened? How has this happened? This is impossible. How did Penrith win for here?" So I had to turn the highlights off and rewatch the whole game just to try and work out where it went wrong. But again, they get a shot. Brisbane get a shot to conquer Penrith in a prelim. And that might go a little bit of the ways to go, okay, we feel a bit better that we've overcome this mountain because we let one slip a couple of years ago, but that doesn't make that better. Like that's still stuck in your head forever. And again, even if they do conquer Penrith on Sunday, well, they still need to go again the next week and try and finally get to that point that they just fell so agonizingly short at.
All right, let's have a little talk about some of these stars, superstars for Melbourne and what they contributed. And we might get to the Sharks and their stars in this break, or it could perhaps be in our next break. But Cameron, you mentioned Munster.
So good.
That was just phenomenal. He's one of those guys where defenders seem to just stop and not, just confused as he's coming towards them.
Well, when players are around, you know how you play, which is what that helps the ball players like Munster.
Yep.
That he can do. It's like a sixth sense. Like every time he came across field and went too far across field, the Melbourne Storm players knew to come back underneath him. So all that sort of stuff. But I just like the fact that he wasn't trying to do anything over the top, anything special. I think the fact that he was carting it up as an extra forward. That's what I like to see, with a bit of footwork, even just a quick play of the ball, which helped his teammates get on the front foot. That is what I liked watching about Munster. Like his kicking game was great. His ball playing was still great, but didn't try and overplay his hand. Just was there to be a senior player within that side and help his side win a game. It was a great performance from Munster, and considering the season he has, it hasn't been a Munster style season where we've seen him do these extravagant things, these game breaking sorts of things for the majority of the year. I think it's been a quiet year for Munster, to be honest with you. That's my opinion.
Yeah, the Origin he stepped up.
Yeah, Origin he did step up under some extreme circumstances. Obviously, the passing of his father, which would have been tough, of course. But yeah, it's been I think it's been quite a neutral sort of season for Munster. But he was outstanding last night, and he was one of the key parts that got the side across the line at the end of the game.
It's that whole idea that he goes in with that run first mentality, right?
Yeah,
I think he ran.
Yeah.
I looked at his stats just before. 15 runs, 144 metres. If Cam Munster's doing that for Melbourne, they're going to win more games than they lose because he's going to create havoc when he runs the football.
Exactly, and he still has the ability to find that kick for someone, and he still has the ability to put someone through a gap. But I think his running game's gone to another level.
Yeah. Ryan Pappenhausen, he comes back in. He was sensational. It was an amazing pickup in the first half. Some of those skills that he has, and of course, the try that he was the second kick after Munster scores that try. He was writhing on the ground. He reported injury. There was something in his shoulder. He played through it.
Yeah, no, apparently he's all right today. They've checked. I've checked him in Melbourne. He's clear to go, so no issues with Paps. I mean, maybe his biggest play was the tackle on Nakora that saved the try rather than anything. I thought it was his best game in months, Pappenhausen, because we've been some of us have been a little critical of his form. I thought he's looked a little tentative at times this year, but I thought he ripped in. He looked like the old Ryan Pappenhausen last night, so I thought he was immense for them.
Jerome Hughes.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, that was what everyone was watching, wasn't it?
Yeah. You have to give credit to Melbourne, and it goes to show how much an influence that week off helps the team. They just looked a little bit fresher, faster at the start of the game. They were winning the collision. We talked about Utoi Kamanu bumping off players, managing to get that second phase football. And then when you create that space and opportunity against a staggered defensive line, someone like Hughes, there was question marks around his arm, how that was going to hold up his shoulder. But boy, oh boy, didn't he just put some fears into the back corner last night. When he got that ball, I think he cut Teague Wilton with a right foot step, just sliced straight through.
It was the next fend that I was kind of looking at it because who did he fend off? Was it Smith? I think who was it?
Someone was chasing in.
Billy Burns. Billy Burns. But I'm thinking to myself, if he didn't have a plated arm, would he have been able to fend him off? Because I'm thinking that steel rod or that
steel rod was the secret.
Or the plate in his arm kept that arm nice and rigid. Yeah. So when he's fended him off with his dodgy heavily plated arm with extra titanium bolts, I don't know whether that's is that a disadvantage for the or is it a disadvantage for the defending side because it was a great fend that arm did not move one bit.
I'm pretty sure he's not the only guy running around in the NRL.
I understand that, Wado, but I would like to get that arm. I'd like to get it looked at. I'd like to get some X-rays. I'd like to see those X-rays made public. Because if he's not the $6 million man, was that the old show?
Yeah, $6 million. Steve Austin.
I think there could be some advantages here. I'm thinking I may have this idea in my head that I'm just going to go around plating blokes' arms.
He was
ethically, I'm not sure how you go with that.
He was great. Harry Grant was great. Munster was great. Pappenhausen was great.
Warbrick was
yeah. But
under those high balls, he was outstanding.
Everyone in that Melbourne team was at their best, and they played well.
But it had to be, though,
physically.
didn't they?
Yeah, they had to be. But then the difference is those playmakers, with their experience, their big game confidence, they just understand, okay, here's an opportunity. We need to make the most of it. Jerome Hughes slices through, finds a way to the try line. Munster identifies Will Kennedy in the line. He has the confidence enough to see the cue. Okay, I'm going to take this play on. Pappenhausen through, scores the try. That's just what the big game players do. They don't shy away from those moments and opportunities. Yep. And that was the difference in the end. Cronulla were brave. Melbourne just had a little bit too much class when it counted.
And you got to give the big from both sides, the big guys, a bit of a shout out too, because that first half was fast, and they were out there. I think they were out there for nearly the whole half. A couple of those forwards,
22 minutes.
Well, they did. I'm going to say they did get some breaks because there were, I think, 11 penalties.
Well, they did.
11 penalties in the first half. In fact, while we're there, segue, Sam. Thank you.
That's what I was looking for. Thanks,
guys.
Appreciate it. I do what I can.
Supercoach Fitzgibbon talking about the performance of referee Ashley Klein.
18 penalties, 9 penalties each. How hard was it to find?
Mate, honestly, if that's a semi-final, like if that's a prelim and you want a grand final to have 18 penalties, like I'm not sooking about the ref. The better side won today. Melbourne were the better side today, hands down. But, mate, I think the first half was 22 minutes of ball in play. Like, what are we doing for a prelim? Like, don't you want to? What do the fans want? You want to see ball in play? Go, let's go. We go, you go, and then we'll find out. But the better side won today, so I can't complain about. And the calls were, some of those warranted on us, but it's a lot for this time of year for our game.
It was. There were a lot of yardage penalties going on, weren't there?
And I want to preface this by saying it's a hard job to referee, and I certainly don't envy them. I don't want to be in their position, but at the end of the day, it's their job. That's what they do. It's a high-performance environment. It's a professional sport, and for me, Ashley Klein has been disappointing in this final series. I think back to the Canberra Broncos game to start. I think he got the Hudson Young situation wrong. He should have stayed on the field. I'm not overly convinced that Kikau should have. That Dylan Edwards should have stayed on the field. I think he thought Kikau was a chance of scoring a try, so he deliberately gave away a penalty. That's a professional foul. So I think he got that wrong, and then the way the game eventuated last night with the amount of penalties, I think that's it for him this year. That's 3 strikes and out. I don't feel like him refereeing a grand final, it's too much of a risk for me. There's going to be an incident, and at the moment with his 3 past games, he's shown me he can't handle those incidents right now. And it's nothing personal.
No.
But I just think he's punched his ticket for the year now. And I don't know what happened to Adam G or Todd, who did the Roosters Sharks. Todd Smith at the Roosters and Sharks game at Shark Park, because I thought they were fantastic the way they refereed the games.
Well, it seems that Grant Atkins is the other man in the frame. He's doing tomorrow's game.
Well, I would put Adam G and Todd Smith above Grant Atkins the way they refereed the first 2 finals matches. And
I don't think Grant Atkins has refereed a grand final. Obviously, we've.
Can't they tap Ashley Klein on the shoulder now and say, "Listen, mate, last night's game, too many stoppages. Let it go." Like they will be doing that because he will get the job.
You think it's done deal?
I think he'll get the job.
Probably depends on how Grant Atkins goes tomorrow.
That's right
Grant
or
Atkins
wrong.
has a good game tomorrow. I imagine he's a chance. But I would think Ashley Klein's got his nose front. Look, I haven't watched all those penalties. Some of them that are fresh in my head, I thought they're penalties. And the great example is the stupid Braden Trindle strip.
But that
it's just an obvious penalty. Billy
Yeah.
Burns crowding out on the just before that. That's a penalty.
Yeah, I
thought there was.
I'd have to see them all.
I thought there was a couple of Melbourne Storm holding down in the ruck, which I thought could have gone penalty wise.
There was some high shots that maybe were line ball, but in the modern game, once you give a penalty for one of them, you've got to give it for all of them.
And then there's going to be more penalties.
Again, I can live with a game that goes down that path because he sets a standard.
Yeah.
Obviously, he blew an offside penalty early against the Sharks for jumping too early. So if you go down the other end of the field and Melbourne do it, well, he feels, okay, I've set the standard. I've got to do it again. I can understand that, how a game.
So how does he not do that then? Because
he's got to let him go. He's got to let that go, right?
My thing isn't just on last night's game. It's the other games as well. The Kikau incident, Hudson Young. It's 3 weeks in a row, and I think it's too much of a risk. And again, last thing on the refereeing, the guys in the middle, I can cop again the game going that way because he's under the pressure. He's got the fatigue. He's got the crowd. I can get them making decisions that aren't always right. But the bunker for me, and this didn't probably have any bearing on the game at all, but last week, Butler was in the bunker. Tom Starling comes out of the line, jumps into a tackle, knocks Tom Hazelton clean out with a head clash. It was a head clash, accident. I'm happy for that to be a head clash. Move the play the ball on, get Tommy off the field, look after him, play the game on. Last night, Braden Trindle doesn't leave the ground. Head clash with Jerome Hughes.
Yep.
Different result. Like, this guy's sitting in a room, like, in static, no emotion, no fatigue. It's the same person, same situation, a week apart, and it's two
Not the
different
same ruling.
decisions. I don't get that. That frustrates me.
I thought the Starling one last week should have been a penalty.
Well, I don't care
Yeah.
if it's a penalty or if
You
it's
just
not a
think-
penalty. Whatever
you
it
just want
is, just make it.
consistency,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's either an accident or it's not an
So
accident.
I had no issue with the Trindle penalty because I thought he lost a bit of control.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bar, right? If you lose a bit of control,
Yeah.
then it's a
And
penalty.
you can't change the way you're coming into that tackle
Yep.
because you've committed that full on and you can't adjust quick enough.
Again,
And I thought
I don't
Starling,
care.
I thought Starling lost control the week
It's
before.
either an accident and that's
Or
an
it's
accident, or it's a penalty
Yeah,
and that's a penalty.
Yeah, I
Whatever
know,
it
with
is,
you.
just
I
make the
understand.
same
We get you.
call.
We get your way, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's out
Speaking
of
of
his chair.
penalties, is any on charge sheet?
One charge, Trent Liero, but it's just a fine tone, so he's good to go.
All right, well, we'll get to the other side, flip that coin, have a look in a bit more detail at the Sharkies when we come back on the Saturday Scrum, doing it for Thirsty Camel. Tony Squires, Wade Gray, Nathan Hindmarsh and Brent Reid with you. The Melbourne Storm are through to the grand final. They await the winner of the Panthers and Broncos after they beat the Sharkies 22 points to 14. All right, for those Sky Blues, those Sharkies, Wade, you were obviously there last night. What was the feeling? Obviously, incredible disappointment. Just talk us through a little bit what you felt in that rooms afterwards.
They were shattered. They were very disappointed, and it's one of those things. Like, the closer you get to it, and the more you start to believe you can achieve it, when you've come up short, it hurts even more. It's like you sort of, when you're building into a club or developing and you're improving each year, you might go out a little bit early. It's like, you know, it still hurts, but it doesn't hurt as much because there wasn't that genuine belief inside you that, okay, we can win it if we're at our best. And they're starting to really believe that when they get it right, they can win the Sharks. And I think they proved a lot to themselves more than anything over the last 3 or 4 weeks leading into the finals. And there was a genuine belief that if they could get the job done in Melbourne, well, they'd be a decent chance next week. So to come so close but still fall short, it hurts. But at the end of the day, you need to move on and live with it and try and improve in the areas you need to improve on. They got beat by a better team last night in Melbourne, and there's still obviously some growth in that team that they need to work out to go to that next level.
Well, Coach Fitzgibbon here was interesting, and we'll have a listen to him now talking about what it means in terms of respect for the team, what you have to achieve to earn that.
Feels like the last couple of weeks, the buzzword around Cronulla has been about respect, right, and earning respect. Do you feel like you have earned the respect?
Well, that's for you. Like, honestly, we all we've done is respond to whatever comes our way, and it's not a thing where, like, we want to get better for ourselves. We turn up every day, we train together, we work together, we play together. We want to get better for ourselves, and yeah, it was probably a response to the constant, like, you know, pressure on that, and they stuck up for themselves. Mate, if they feel that way and the players feel that way, I don't have an issue with it. It's not a driving force, but the ultimate respect, I think there's a difference, right? There's the ultimate respect is a premiership, and then you've got a lack of respect, and then there's credibility. I think we're sort of somewhere in the middle, like just some credibility, that'd be about it. But we haven't earned the ultimate respect. You don't do it unless you win the comp. Like, it's not up for debate. We're not asking anyone to respect us until we do that, and that's fine. We're okay.
I might have a lack of sleep, but I got it mostly right.
But he was spot on, though.
Yeah.
The respect will come
Yeah.
when you win a comp. And that's all it is. The reason why we respect the Panthers so much and the Storm so much is because it's their ability to go out and win competitions consistently at the moment. You know what I mean? And we just spoke about earlier off the top of the show, 11 grand final appearances for Bellamy. That's why we respect them. The Storm, like this weekend, last night's game was a hard game to tip. It honestly was. Like, I was thinking, well, the Sharks, they looked to me like a side that they weren't overly concerned and they could handle anything that was going to get thrown at them. And defensively, they were almost right because I thought they defended really well. But the respect will come, and I think that there's a lot more people out there that are going, you know what, I was wrong about the Sharks this year. They really stepped up and they really came out and gave it their all, and next year could be even better.
I think also the part of their journey and where they've grown is the other thing that earns you respect in our game is turning up and playing well when it counts, when your team needs you. And
well,
that's the problem.
Did that happen last night? Did that happen last night though?
It didn't though.
It didn't. They
no.
turned up and played
No.
well last night. They just got beaten by a better team. But I'd say,
Wado, the issue that's going to continue next year is in a big game, their big guns didn't aim up. And I know you're going to stick up for Nico and
6 and
Braden
7.
Trindle, but you look at the way Munster and Jerome Hughes played last night, then you look at the way Nico and Braden Trindle played, and that is going to be the talking point again next year. And Nico was immense at the latter stage of the year, right? And he was immense in the opening 2 weeks of the finals. But ultimately, in the prelim, they didn't aim up last night.
But I think that's a bit harsh because would you say Nico and Braden Trindle, their combination, would you class them in the same category as Jerome Hughes and Munster? Munster's a Queensland captain.
No, they're not. That's the point, though, isn't it?
But that's what they got to chase. That's what they got to become. And I think as a team, they actually turned up. They threw down with Melbourne.
I thought
they
turned up. But
everyone gives the Bulldogs a rap because they went down there and competed with Melbourne 2 weeks ago.
Bulldogs have been getting hammered.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying an example. I didn't hear Burton getting hammered or Sexton getting hammered.
Gelbin's been smashed.
We're giving Sexton a rap because he came on and straightened up that team.
I wasn't giving Sexton a rap, not for the way he played last week.
Okay, you just talk, Brady.
Well, I'm just making a point. That's the point, Wado. This is what's going to continue to fester next year. It's going to be a talking point all year because
I don't think it will be. I think they developed this year.
Do you think they went and looked for the ball enough at certain stages?
I think they could have been better last night.
Yeah,
Melbourne were the better team, particularly in those key positions. They stood up and they won the game for their team. And Cronulla fell short in those positions. But if you look at the game at Shark Park against the Roosters, they delivered. Canberra, they delivered.
I think isn't that the discussion though we're having now? Like
they did. That's what I'm saying. They had.
They had,
but they
didn't.
need to get better.
Yes.
So what are you saying though, Reedy? To take that next step for the Sharkies next year, do there need to be two different people in those 7 and 6 jerseys?
I think what they have is what they have because there's no one coming in next year. They've got to do it with the players they've got at the moment. So Fitzy, and I think Fitzy's amazing coach, right? I mean, I'm not doubting Craig Fitzgibbon at all because I think he's one of the best coaches in this comp. But he's got to find a way to get those guys to drag this team over the line. I'm not sure, Wado, whether they've got it in them.
Do you think
that's the point?
So you're saying you don't think they can get to that level?
I'm not sure they can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point then. That's your point. I think they can. I think they can.
I think they can as well. I don't think they're not far off at all. They're not far off at all. But I thought last night when they really needed them, I thought they weren't there when they could have kind of gone, I would have liked to have seen them more. Give me the ball. I need the ball in my hands.
I would have liked to see that as well. Like take the game on in those big moments.
Yeah.
Like there's no second chances. Like this is what you keep. Pull all the
Nico
tricks
threw
out.
that great short ball early in the game, and they scored a try from it. That sort of stuff.
But that's the level they're chasing.
Yeah.
They're two of the best in their position in the NRL.
Midway through the second half, they get a penalty, right? And they're on Melbourne's line, and they hadn't been down there much, and they took a shot at goal to get within 6 points. The next period of play, Nico knocks on, Burns gives away a penalty, Braden Trindle gives away the dumbest penalty of the final series. That moment for me summed up that game. Why didn't they try and score? Why would you take the kick a goal?
I know. I was all for kicking the goal. Yeah.
Because if you don't, kick
it's
the goal,
easy for me in hindsight, right, to say that because they stuffed up after that.
If you don't kick the goal. And then Melbourne,
there's that psychological.
But they're a great defensive team. There's no guarantee you're going to come away with a try. So all of a sudden, you're still in a 2-possession, 2-score situation.
Exactly why down the other end, Melbourne Storm did exactly the same thing when they had the opportunity because the Sharkies' defence I thought was outstanding again last night, and that's forced a side like the Storm into kicking a penalty goal. That you don't see that too often, particularly with the amount of ball the Storm had down there, the amount of repeat sets the Storm had down there. For them to go, you know what, we need to kick a goal here. That was that says a lot about how the Sharkies defended this season.
Just the last thing on what Fitzy had to say. They're floating in between somewhere of credibility and respect. I think they're right in the middle, and I think they're moving towards respect. But again, ultimately, the only way you get it in our game is standing up in the big games when it counts and winning the prelims, going to the grand final and winning. That's why Jerome, that's why Munster are the best in their position. Nathan Cleary, that's why he's the best in position. When it counts for your team, they stand up. And at last night, they fell a little bit short. Do I put a line for them for the rest of their career? No, I think they can get there for sure at that combination. They're only in their first full season as a combination, maybe a year and a half. So they've got some growth, and I think they're going in the right direction.